Okay, call this meeting to order. Shall we approve the minutes? I've looked at them. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. We'll talk about implementation and other things in a little bit. First of all, we need to cover something concerning the employment history of a particular person or matters leading to his appointment and so forth. So I move that we go into executive session. Second. Any discussion of that? Then we'll be back after executive session in a little while and open it up again for anybody interested, like Pam.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So we're in open session again. Mm-hmm. Where are you, Deborah?
Rhode Island. Bristol.
Okay, great.
Nice.
We've got implementation of the code in the plain English guide next, and then we're maybe going to be visited by somebody later. But let's open it up for public comments if we have any. Pam, do you want to make any public comments?
Yes, well, actually, I actually have maybe more of two questions for this council, for this board, if I may. Just as a clarification of, my understanding of ethics in general and when it applies and when it doesn't. So if I may just give you like an example, if there's someone on a committee or a council that has some kind of business or financial agreement with an applicant, and that applicant has to go before that committee, should that committee member be recusing themselves from the conversation?
Yes, if it's a significant financial conflict that that person or their immediate relative has, the official or employee should disclose the conflict and recuse themselves.
Okay, that's good, great. And then what bars that person who has recused themselves from watching subsequent meetings that have been recorded and then, behind closed doors, making remedies to the situation? Is there anything that this could resolve an issue such as that? Or I don't know, I'm just curious.
These are good questions, and these are recusal guidelines that we're trying to work out in practice and apply evenly. People can always watch the video, nothing to prevent that.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, there's no way to stop anyone from looking at the conversation that ensued at the meeting they recused themselves of.
Right, but there are rules that prevent them from discussing it with anybody, because you talked about behind closed doors, then talking to people, and that's prohibited. You can't text, email.
Okay, that's really what I want to know. All right.
Yeah. It's in the new code. If you look over the new code, probably not as much as us. What page is that? What page is the recusal guideline that we have? What section?
Oh, I don't.
I'll find it. Yeah, they're not supposed to email or talk with other members of the committee on the matter they've recused themselves from.
And Pam, what you're saying, you're the second person to mention this, to say this, have this concern about watching at a later time and then therefore knowing exactly what happened in your absence. So since you're the second person bringing it up, we may have to spend just a little more time thinking about this issue. We hadn't thought of it initially.
It's a public record that is open to it.
Yeah, it's a public record. It's open.
Yeah. It's the same like in the past would be the minute, access to the minute.
Right. The recusal
I don't
guidelines.
see how you can avoid them from, I'm sorry, I just don't see how you can avoid someone from watching it, but then the question is, have they watched it and then they have other correspondence with people on the committee or those that they shouldn't be having a conversation with? So the answer is no, they should not be doing that. And the question is, how do you follow up on that to see if that's in fact happening? Right.
I think that's going to be a problem whether or not there's Zoom or not.
Right.
Right.
If they have that correspondence, they're not supposed to.
Yeah, I mean,
The guidelines in section 8-6 of the law, and it says, among other things, Once recused, that person may not be in the room or appear via video conferencing when the matter is being discussed, voted on, nor participate in any discussion or communication, including email or text regarding it. Right. That's the strongest guidance we can give. Almost. Right?
Yeah, that seems very clear to me. Yeah, that's very clear to me. Oh, okay, thanks very much.
Sure. Thanks for your question. Okay. So let's talk about implementation of the new code. There's a rewrite, a redraft of the plain English guide to post on our website. And then there was also talk about improving the flow charts and doing hypotheticals to help explain it to people.
Yeah, and I'm going to come up with some hypotheticals in the next couple days.
Next couple of days.
And Shelby and I are working on that.
Okay. Deborah, you got anything in there?
No, I dropped the ball. Shelby sent me a
draft.
It was a draft. She immediately laid out the flow chart like we said we would do. And I told her I would look at it and get back to her, and I didn't. So
Okay.
I will, how about if you
Work in
do that in the
progress
next-
for everything.
I will do that really fast because she did it even, you must have done it like an hour after the meeting ended. She did it immediately.
Okay,
I apologize.
that's fine.
I have a question, maybe Christina can answer it. We all got the question as to whether we read the code, all town employees. Do you have any idea how many responded to it?
I would have to check with Barbara, because I didn't want it to go through our department, so I directed it directly to the HR, so, yeah.
I just want to know.
There's a bunch, I know there's a bunch, because I've been copied on several, but the number, I'll have to check.
I did ask Barbara that a few weeks ago, and there was a number that was kind of on the low side.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And yeah, so I think that we need to check with her again, and I think that we need to ask employees again and attaching a plain English guide to it so that they can understand what they've, acknowledging they.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, these are the things that typically take a couple rounds.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I do the sexual harassment and discrimination training, like I do it 3 times a year, just so we eventually, maybe, perhaps, hopefully cover everyone, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, and we're just asking once every 5 years, I think, for them to acknowledge
Right.
you looking at this, but it can be hard to understand, so why would you want?
Yeah, I know. No, the plain English would help.
Yeah, but I was going to ask Barbara again for an update, but I think the number is going to be, probably less than half.
I'm just thinking about the last issue. I think what I'm going to say is completely off base, but I'm just going to throw it out. Is it possible that in meetings where a member has recused themselves, that there won't be a video made of that one section of the meeting so the member can't watch it later?
That would be restricting access to the public record.
Okay. Because isn't it ironic that I had to recuse myself from this last meeting and there was no recording of it, so I could not go back and see.
But that's the executive session, that's different.
It's our misfortune, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's an executive session for reasons, I understand why it was an executive session, but it's just a different situation of someone
Yeah.
recusing and being left literally in the dark.
Right, and I'm going to recuse myself on something, and I won't know what y'all talk about too, because
Right,
it's
right,
an
yeah.
executive session.
So we're in
double
a
whammy.
situation as a group of people that when we do recuse ourselves, we will probably not then know what happened, as opposed to everyone else can find out what happened.
But just for fun, we can record executive sessions.
Why we want to do that?
I'm just saying, like, it's not impossible not to record executive session, it's just general thumb, you don't record, because it creates a problem with the records, that's
No, we
all
can't.
basically.
Yeah,
We
we
don't wanna-
can't record the executive sessions because we can't make public the people that whose behavior we're looking into. That would be unfair to the person.
We don't have to release the
Yeah,
recording.
exactly, it would be a record that would not be subject to FOIL due to Freedom of Information Law, yeah, so that's why we generally don't do that, because it's creating basically a storing issue.
Yeah, no, I don't think we should record when we're talking about like what I missed, I think should not have been recorded. think that was proper. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, isn't it ironic?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same with me. I mean, I'll be curious what happens when I if I recuse myself on a certain person because I've had, a septic installed. But I'm not going to find out. That's okay.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Hopefully you all give good advice without me. I did improve the little relatives analysis thing to eliminate some stuff we didn't want and to put more specific reference to laws and codes in the very bottom. I think that this is ready for prime time, although it's a little bit inside the baseball. Do you want to see one of these? It's inside baseball, but I think it's might help. But the biggest thing that would help would be a plain English guide.
Well, I'm going to do some typos based on this.
Yeah, okay, great, cool. The plain English guide is the best, the best thing, and Laura worked it over. And I've edited it a little further, and there's where it stands. Do we want to look at that for a little while?
Yeah, do we have a copy? It's probably on,
I have it.
I can get it on my iPad, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I have it.
I'll find it.
I think you did a great job, by the way.
Thanks.
Okay, so I can't unless someone sends it to my personal email.
We will do that.
Okay.
And
Somebody, the first person to find it on their computer is going to.
Thank you, whoever that first person is.
highlight.
Can I send it to the text? Can I text it to
No, let me give your email.
you? Email?
Here, I got it. June 30, it's the email.
Do you have it up?
Oh, it's in Word.
See that? AOL?
Yeah, let me see if it comes. It's takes a little time. I have a lot of stuff on this iPad, obviously.
Okay, Deb, do you want to, I don't know your personal email.
Okay, you ready?
You don't have to read it into the record if you don't want.
Oh,
Oh,
here,
that's a good idea. Yeah,
Here, yeah,
thank you.
okay.
I hadn't thought of that.
But you've got mail.
There are really still people out there who are on AOL.
AOL email.
I have an AOL email for reasons that.
Dating yourself by doing that.
Yeah. That
Like
part
very
I'll
personal
confess on the
stuff I
record.
don't.
I have
Yeah.
AOL also.
But at the AOL, I get all the advertisements, I get all the
Okay,
junk, so I don't want to give out.
No,
So people say, oh, you still have an AOL? Of course.
yeah.
Okay, this should be it.
Winging its way
Oh, it
to,
just came up, Deborah Grayson, perfect, okay. The subject is empty. I'm sending it anyway.
okay, fine. I used to be able to access the town email on my Outlook, but I probably will also, but since the address changed, I may need to have IT help me get my iPad up and running. Besides, I couldn't look at you guys and use my iPad at the moment anyway, so I'll use my cell phone. But anyway, go ahead and I'll open it as soon as it comes in.
Okay,
One thing that I approached in revising this was the fact that the prior one was done in anticipation of adopting the code, and so I tried to make it clear that it had already happened.
as I was looking this over, Laura, yesterday, I like what we did. We've tried to emphasize disclosure and recusal, and
Right,
because that's where the rubber hits the road,
yeah,
to use it to say. And so there's a lot of this boldface, disclosure and recusal.
Yep.
And I think that's all good because, but
you didn't change the font on the question about what does recusal mean in practice. That answer is all in large font. We talked about that. And it's all in bold.
Can I ask you what document you're looking at right now, because I'm a little lost.
It's plain.
It's,
The plain,
yeah, but I'm not, are you on the town? That's the prior version, I think. We're working on a revision of that.
Let's see if we have an extra copy.
I'm happy to
Can you,
make
can you
one.
take?
Yeah. Is the latest version on SharePoint?
It hasn't come in yet.
Goes up as sent in my email.
And it went to my personal one, not my town one.
It went to Grayson at 75, D Grayson at
Yeah,
75,
yeah,
yeah, at AOL.
yeah, there, you said it. Okay, I'll keep waiting.
How about I send it via text?
I'm not sure which
You could read it via text.
of my multiple emails addresses it
Robert
came
sent
from.
it. Oh, I got it as a text. Got it.
Yeah, I just sent a text.
Yep, and there I have it.
Oh, okay, great.
See,
So which
Do you
part
have
are you
a
guys
copy?
on?
I'm just printing it. So it's-
it's a work in progress. You know, we had a planning this guide when this was being considered to inform the town board, and now we wanted to help employees. And the one thing that's missing that I would like to have here is like a statement like this that's it's not unusual and not unethical to have a possible financial conflict of interest. Many people do.
Yeah,
A conflict of interest is any potential conflict between your private interest and your public service. What's important is that you disclose this as required so that it is not a conflict of interest violation.
maybe that could be in the first one.
Yeah, somewhere, it's not written down anywhere in there, but
Maybe in the first one, it should be up front.
yeah, it's in pink here if you want to look at it.
I have one suggestion to make.
Can I take a photograph of it?
In the first question, why does the town need an ethics code? Isn't it by law that we have to have an ethics code?
Yes?
So I think I'd lead with that, as opposed to leading, number one is like, we're not looking to get you guys in trouble. We're merely following the law is how I would start it and then go from there, because otherwise it sounds like we just decided one day to do this thing randomly and that we really
What we
didn't
say?
need to.
Deborah, I don't know that it's true by law. I was just talking to a mayor of an upstate town, and I told her about our ethics code and our revision. In fact, I sent it to her, and she said her town doesn't have an ethics code, and she didn't think it was a legal requirement, but she wanted to institute it for her town.
It says we say in here, state law prohibits certain conflicts of interest for public employees and also calls for cities and towns to develop their own rules.
Doesn't say you have to have an ethics code.
I think it might, though.
Well,
I-
if it says
I-
it calls for city and towns to do it.
I
then-
think the law says towns have to have ethics codes. They don't have to have ethics boards.
Oh.
That's what we have, that a lot of towns like Greenport doesn't have, they got a code, not a
Or
board.
they have a code.
So anyway, I would like to put a sentence in at the beginning of question number one. Why does the town need an ethics code? I'd say to be in compliance with the law, and then go on and explain, what you explain there.
So if it's true, which I think it is, we could start that answer by just saying, because it's required by state law.
Well, it says in the
Exactly,
second
yes.
sentence.
I mean, my problem is that the first, I think it's important to in the very upfront say what a conflict of interest is, because it's state law that prohibits certain conflicts of interest.
Right.
I think starting with saying what a conflict of interest is more helpful. That was my thought, anyway.
Well,
Because-
I'd go into that after, I feel like the opening sentence really needs to be like, this is why we're doing it, because on Shelter Island, I feel there are people who think we've done this specifically to go after them, and that we're just, gunning for bear and not in general following guidelines. And so I'd like us just to say, we're just following guidelines. And then go on and explain, and here's what the guidelines are, and here's what a conflict of interest is, and, you know, all this other stuff. It's just, as Jeff said when he worded it, it can be incredibly short, half a dozen words.
Yeah, I
Let's say
think,
we've done it.
yeah, I think what you picked up on is answering the question first. Why does the town need an ethics code? It's required by
Because it's
state law.
required.
And to explain it a little bit.
Okay.
And then,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
any explanations, of course.
But then all this explanation is very good.
And of course, to define, as Laura says, we know what conflicts of interest mean, but others may not. So maybe we need to, you know, to stop and define our terms.
And
Maybe it should even say their own private financial interests. 'Cause it really does prohibit private financial
where is that?
in the first sentence that I wrote. Why does the team need a code?
What's the
It
sentence?
says, town employees may find themselves in situations where their own private interests may conflict with those of the town. That should say financial interest, right?
We do focus on financial interest, but I would say though that common law also defines other conflicts of interest. Potentially. Our code is,
Thinking about the last conversation we had before,
yeah, right, well,
and bias.
bias and so forth, right. If you're next door to the person,
It may not be financial, it may be your view or something of water, it may be, so
Yeah.
it's not often, it's not always financial.
but you can argue it's financial, you can,
It could
Bring it
affect
there.
your property value, that kind of thing, but
That would
it could be, but it also could be aesthetics, it could be, you know.
but
people don't like-
we do really try to limit ourselves to financial,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's a good point. Put in private financial interest.
That's what I thought,
The first sentence after, why does the town need an ethics code?
yeah, because that's really what our focus has been on.
In financial where, after,
Right there,
Oh, okay.
private financial interest. I'm gonna ask for another executive session, recuse myself, go out there where I can't hear anything, and y'all call me back in, okay?
about a private matter,
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to move that we,
we take that up now.
yeah, that we
To
do that
discuss an
now,
employee.
that we go to executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person,
Okay,
and all in favor of executive session?
all right.
Hi.
Me too.
So
Okay, so we're back in open session,
Yeah,
Okay.
and we were talking about the plain English guiding. Trying to improve that, and then we'll work it over in the next week or two one more time, and then let's make it good for our website.
Okay.
Where will
Okay,
we
so
be on
this thing
that?
that Robert sent me is long, kind of, maybe about 3 pages. It comes up as 1, or maybe 4 pages. I don't know how, is that about how long you want it to be?
It's gone to 3 pages.
Okay,
I tried to keep it to 2, but then the law professor got involved.
Don't you just hate it?
What?
Don't you just hate that?
You don't have to say it now. Yeah, so it's a little bit longer.
okay,
Or more complete is another way of describing it.
And
yeah, but people won't read. I mean, studies show people will only read a certain number of words and then they stop. So we have to
Yeah.
make it a length that people will read it.
I think they'll read this.
There's a typo somewhere. Why
Yeah,
did the
several
board adopt a
typos.
new code before TEC?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Where was that?
it's the second
second-
question. And also that
Right.
second question.
First
doesn't-
sentence of the second question, why did the town board adopt a new ethics code?
And the second question doesn't have a Q in front of it, like Q for question. Why does it tell?
Where's the typo? Because I don't see a typo in my version.
Before TEC.
Oh, I think they actually opened up the document instead of
Yeah, that's,
Looking at your, like,
My-
underneath your email.
my version doesn't have that typo.
Oh,
I don't know, I
Did
opened the
you open
document.
the Word, go back to the email?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what I just did, I opened the,
All right.
the email from,
This is
the
correct.
email
Oh,
from
yeah,
Laura
here.
never, I didn't get that. Laura, your email never
corrected
came
it.
in.
And you're- So he's
Okay.
looking at this.
oh, I opened the
You opened the
document.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Right, it's in the email, maybe I made some corrections.
Yeah,
it's been corrected.
yeah.
Got it. This is more consistent with what I remember.
I think the sentence or the short paragraph I proposed, that it's not unusual to have conflicts of interest. What's important is to disclose it. That could go after the question, what do I do if I'm asked to make a
Right.
decision where I have a conflict of interest?
That's,
And then,
You want to send us all the
yeah,
corrected version?
absolutely. Yeah, we'll do one more time,
One
everybody.
more time around.
Then what's the new ethics code say? That's the bullet points in there.
Right.
yeah,
And you'll see, here's where we tried to hit disclose and recuse a lot.
Right.
So we could, I could just,
we could say including but not limited to, that's the lawyer in me. Or we could say including phone, by telephone, comma, email, or text.
where does that,
And that you may not participate in any discussions or communications.
You have to add in person somewhere to that, right?
Right.
where is, can you point me to the,
What does this recusal mean in practice?
okay,
So after nor may you participate in any discussions or communications. We could just say whether by phone, personal conversation, or face-to-face come up,
oh.
face-to-face,
And text,
email or text,
including email or text, yeah, we could
sign
expand.
language, nothing.
Is that what this says here? It says all that, yeah.
It doesn't have the
No, including
phone,
email or
for
text.
instance. This is just,
Or may not be in the room.
right. But what you've added is whether by phone,
Well, I just didn't, I think it's okay, as is, unless
like
it says,
any discussions or communications, that's a pretty strong
it is pretty strong.
word. You know, we don't have in there what we may advise some is that their presence may influence a board.
You say here ethics, you say that, we say here, ethics laws allow public officials to have some conflicts of interest, but only if they follow these principles. That's kind of tied to the sentence that you want to put in there up above, and so maybe we can modify that. Otherwise,
Or we can leave it and repeat it.
yeah,
At some point, we want to be open to proposing amendments to the town board if this code's unworkable in any way, because as you know, it was passed in a flash.
But Stephen said we could do that anytime.
Yeah, right. So that's to keep in mind for upcoming months, if we need to try to be more clear on anything.
Because originally there was some talk about 6 months, but he said, you don't have to wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So do you think an employee, Christine, you reading this would understand what disclosure and recusal mean?
I hope so.
We all hope so.
but the ones that can't aren't apt to be involved in a substantial conflict. Is that fair?
Yeah,
But I see something here, I'm kind of reading on my own because it's hard for me to follow where you guys are, and I just have something that's not clear to me. Cooling off for future employment, does that make any sense for to talk about now, or are you somewhere completely else?
It's described, that's a term that Duff used, and then it's described to avoid the appearance of improperly
I know.
limits on
but
the
there's
proceeding.
this- Yeah, the thing, the word says though, I remember discussing it a lot with Stephen, particularly because we had a long discussion about the length of the cooling off period. Employees have limits on pursuing or taking new jobs if they are, this is the line I had the problem with. If they are using their discretionary powers as a town employee, isn't it as a former town employee? Because isn't the supposition
yeah.
that they're leaving their town
If
job?
they were using their discretionary powers as a town employee for the benefit, no.
As a former.
No, it's former town
When-
employee. It means they used to work for the town, but now they're gonna go off and work for this other company, right? Isn't that what it means? So you have to say former town employee.
But it already says if they were using their discretionary powers.
You could
No,
say
but
if while
they
they were an
do-
employee, a town employee, they used their discretionary's power
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I thought
in
the
matters
cooling off
regarding that
period-
employer.
I thought the cooling off period meant you haven't had anything to do with this company, but now you're gonna go work, you know, when you were doing your job for the town, but now that you're gonna go work for this company is gonna be bringing things before the town, and you may have an in with the town because you used to work there. Wasn't that kind of the whatever behind it?
Right.
So therefore, it has to say that they're no longer working for the town, but that they may be, this new company may be bringing things before the town. Right.
Well,
This
you
makes it
wanna-
sound like this makes it sound like they're simultaneously working for the town and the new company.
You're also concerned that somebody is doing something while they're an employee with a secret agreement with the subject company that they'll get a job.
Right, it's to avoid that.
Okay, so they're both, then they're both possibilities of why you need a cooling off period, right? There are two different
Yeah.
scenarios for why a cooling off period would be necessary.
I don't,
Well, one is you've been helping them in the past and now they're going to employ you.
I don't
And two
think.
is you've never helped them in the past, but now they're going to employ you because you can help them in the
Within the
future because you
employer.
just work for the town.
but is that, I don't see that as, that's speculative.
No, but that's exactly what we were talking, you weren't in on those
Right.
discussions.
They
That was
were, you
before you
did.
joined the group. We
Yeah.
spent a lot of time talking about that. That was what Stephen led us to, that was the whole crux of the discussion.
So that relates to section 810 of the new code, which is the future employment section. It's a little complicated. It's 3 parts depending on,
Glance at it for a second, I'm sorry.
you want to see that? At the top there. And it's not trying to
Ask for,
restate
pursue, employ.
all of those examples, just a couple of the most common, like if a
For the 1-year period after serving as an officer or employee may represent or render services to a private person or organization in connection with any matter involving the exercise of discretion before the town office for which they served. So that says,
Served in the past tense. So in other words, after, that's why it has to be future. I mean, past,
it
whatever.
doesn't say, it doesn't prohibit employment, it just says that you can't go before if you were on the planning board, you can't go to the planning board
right,
for a year, for anybody, right?
right. I think that's what it says.
Okay, so no town officer or employee, any time after serving as an officer or employee, may represent or render services to a private person or organization in connection with any particular transaction in which an employee personally and substantially participated while serving as a town officer or employee. So it's not looking forward so much as looking back.
No, see, I still read it as looking forward. I'm listening to you talk and I still hear it that way.
Part C, in which the employee personally and substantially participated while serving as a town employee.
I think it's pretty clear. If somebody was the building inspector, they cannot now, or at least for 1 year, they cannot represent, a project before the town, right? I mean, that's a
Yes.
simple,
You can't go to work for somebody.
and then bring that project and argue it before the town.
With respect to any connection with any particular transaction, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so but it's the wording on our simple code that, I think we all agree on what the real language means.
Yeah,
but
let's
we're
make
not
sure this is
agreeing on how
accurate.
to write the simplified version.
I think that, for instance, wait a year to work privately for someone on an issue you handled as a town employee.
That's clear.
That, I think, accurately describes Part C.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, we
that-
want to have
That
cleaning.
sentence, that's a good sentence. It's the sentence before that I think
Yeah.
is missing a word.
You think it's,
I don't agree. I think if you say, Deborah, that it says with their new employer, it relates to the fact that they are no longer employed by the town. In other words,
It
it's the
doesn't
fact
say
that
that they could, but people have more than one job. Almost everybody on the town board is like Meg, she's on the town board and she has a full job also. So people around here have multiple jobs, so that it doesn't say you've stopped working for the town.
but it can't say,
As if they were using their discretionary powers as a town employee with their new employer to avoid the current employers.
That doesn't easily
Okay,
account for people with two employers.
right.
yeah. The town plus someone.
So we can try and clarify
I see
that.
what you mean. So like if they're also still an employee.
So yeah, so
Is that what you're saying?
this sort of reads to me like they're still working for the town, but now they've gone off to work for, sand and, Shelter Island Sand and Gravel or whatever, and,
Yeah, that wasn't the intention.
It was meant to
Yeah.
be former. It was not meant to be that, right?
right,
It was
this,
meant-
this has to do with future employment, not
Right, not
two
current,
jobs.
not a current town
Yeah.
employee.
A conflict in jobs.
Yes, because that's addressed. in
We
other
can
parts.
try and clarify that.
If
Okay.
this,
Yeah, I think we can.
it's more like in the moonlighting, what we call moonlighting part, that it addresses a conflict in current
Right.
job.
Right.
Right, that would be a current employee.
And then the next one is a future job.
right, okay, so,
So to avoid, maybe it can be solved by saying to avoiding the appearance of impropriety,
Past employee. Past
prior employees
employees.
or past employees of the town.
yes,
I
that's
see.
it.
that
I
work?
said just as a former town, I use the word former, but yes, past.
Or you could say,
Yes.
if an employee leaves the, yeah.
That works?
Okay, prior
That's
employees.
prior.
employees.
Right.
Yeah, as a prior
that-
town employee.
Yes, that's easier.
Great.
Good, that's good. Okay, that was what I suggested
You
to
got
start
that?
with, but that's
Yeah,
great.
I got it.
Okay.
So I'm going to reflect these changes we talked about in different colored ink and send it around. Then everybody else have one more look at it in writing. And
Okay.
then we'll try to get it on the website.
Okay,
And I would like to send it to all employees, period, including those that have not acknowledged the ethics code yet, to try to help them understand it.
do we need to have a plan for employees who haven't acknowledged the new ethics code?
I think we should fire them.
There you go.
please.
I agree.
Oh, we can't do that?
I mean, like, should our minutes reflect that we're
Subpoena them.
asking somebody or other to follow up on this?
Yeah.
Officially?
Well, that's, Christine,
Yeah, also I was thinking, probably we'll reach out to clerks tonight. There's a waterways meeting. They have one of the agenda items to this. Yeah, just briefly touch up on as this happened. You all need to submit the paper to Barbara.
okay.
So I think that should be, let's say, in the upcoming month, but every committee should have that as an agenda item.
Yeah, yeah. What do people here think about if employees or groups of employees have questions for us?
Submit them in writing?
Is it okay to, I think we should be involved in training and education.
Education.
Questions about our code.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stephen felt that we shouldn't. I feel that we should.
But what?
Be
I think
involved
we
in
should,
training or education.
yeah, no, I'm highly in favor of us doing a training session. I also think it increases, as someone who's always trying to train the company I work for about the fact that we have an ethics committee there. You know, it's like we just try to get in their face as many times as possible. Hello, we exist. Hello, we're here. And you can couch it as an education session also. So I think
Yeah.
it's really important.
I guess let's see how it goes and if there's any pockets that really want it. I think we should help. Before you go, next meeting, how soon do we need to meet next?
October?
We're going to deal with the first matter today by email with Steve. I don't know of anything else that we have urgent pending right now.
But we can
So-
do this final document just by email back and forth, this simple language thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still need guidance. Duff, I will not discuss any particulars, but if I'm gonna write
Or
a
anything.
letter, you can sit there, Duff, I promise. Christina, do I send it to you? Like, how are we gonna do this? Because Duff has always written.
Sure.
letters in the
Yeah.
past.
Sure,
Like Christina said.
yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it's something that I'm.
Yeah, send me anything, I'll put it on a
We have
letterhead,
a
yeah.
decision and we want to,
Okay,
And it's the same thing the other way around, yeah.
Do you want to email it to us so we can look at it, or you
please, happily, yes, I will.
still send it to Deb?
leave Duff off.
Yeah, as I
Yes,
do
of course.
on the other way around, yeah.
Yes, I'll email a draft to everybody except Duff.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is July, August, September. Well, I mean, we ought to meet at least quarterly. So, you know, I think we ought to meet a little more than that right now. What about September? Can we set
Sure.
a September date?
My daughter's getting married at my house
Oh,
on the 16th.
Oh,
So I will not be happy talking to you
in September?
during the first 2 weeks of September.
congratulations. August seems too soon, doesn't it?
Unless something comes up.
Yeah, I mean, if something comes up, we'll have to try to.
Yes.
Later September. But yeah,
Technically both in.
yeah,
Okay, just saying.
thank you.
Got you back.
Well, I guess we could set
Are we
Did you say?
setting a date? Are we gonna set a date or not?
on the principle that we meet at least quarterly. What about if we set something in early October? And then if we need to, we'll try to set a meeting before then.
September 25th, Monday is fairly open for Julian.
That's good.
Of what month?
September 25th,
That's all right.
Monday.
Everybody check that?
Yeah, mine's. If I survive the wedding, I'll be there.
You can do
Okay, what
10 or
time?
11, 2 o'clock. Anything's open until 6:30 PM, so.
I have school Monday, I'll have school at 4, and I don't like to go right from one meeting to another, so I'd like to do it earlier, a little earlier, so I can have a
We
break.
can do
and pull
11
myself
to
out.
save one.
I can do 10 or 11.
It's not going to work. It's a Jewish holiday.
September
Oh.
25.
It's Yom Kippur.
Oh,
Oh, then I won't have school. It's a Jewish school.
You won't have school.
So the next Monday, October 2nd is also widely open until.
it's also a Jewish holiday if Yom Kippur.
Yeah, but not,
Oh,
You
How
don't
about
work for
the
Yeshiva
18th?
University, do you?
oh, you did?
We observe them all.
October 2nd at 11?
That's
How about,
Sukkot.
how
That's,
about September 18th?
no, September, October.
No,
September
her daughter's
18th.
It's right
getting
after
married on
the
the
wedding.
No, she's
16th.
getting married
They'll
on the
have a
16th.
hangover.
Oh, well then how about, does it have to be on a Monday? Is that what?
Yeah, what
it
about,
doesn't, I'm looking like, those are open days. Like Tuesdays are not great
what
because
is October 2nd? Is that a Monday?
it's Monday also. But let's say Wednesday 27,
Right.
Wednesday's a bit.
it's what, is that doesn't work for you, right? Bob?
Yeah, I'd rather do a Monday.
Okay.
October 2nd works. I don't,
October 2nd, 11 a.m.
Despite circuit, I would do it.
Okay, I guess we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
And what time did we say, 11?
11, yeah.
I
Okay,
move to adjourn.
Second.
okay.
Good meeting,
good
everybody.
meeting.
Thank you, bye.
Within